All right. Steven, you want to introduce it this time?
I'll do the next one. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not in the introducing mode.
That's it. That's gotta.
All right. Welcome to the Awkward Side Hug podcast. My name is Brian Andrew. I'm joined by Steven and Lex. We're going to get right into the fourth mic question. Do you believe aliens exist? Controversial.
This is very controversial. Yeah.
I would say yes. It's a yes for me.
That's gonna be a yes for you, dog.
It's a yes for me. Yeah.
Can you guys hear my text going off? By the way.
Yeah.
Dude.
Is your AC on?
Oh, it is. Damn it. I mean, darn it. We'll lose all our sponsors.
What do you mean, darn?
I mean, damn it. Sponsor. We just went over this. I've already broken like 3 awkward side hug rules that we just talked about right now. But I agree. I would have to say that I believe in aliens too.
All right.
What about you?
Yeah.
The universe. Universe.
He's all. I have a podcast with 2 of them.
I don't give a shit.
These are legal aliens.
Did you guys think the Area 51 raids were disappointing?
Very disappointing. The memes were not disappointing. The event itself was disappointing.
Yeah.
Right. I totally forgot it was going to be on the 20th, and I thought there was going to be more interesting memes or I don't know, coverage of it, but it was just the only one was the guy doing the Naruto run behind the.
That was probably like the best part, to be honest. But
did you take a picture of us?
I just took a picture. My bad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the 4th rule that you just broke.
Yeah, I just broke. I literally broke every single rule we have. And the 5th rule is to not talk about Ash's podcast, and I think I just broke that one too. So
we all broke that.
If it makes you feel better, our listeners don't talk about Ash podcast either.
Oh man, that's wild.
So aliens do exist. The universe is too big.
Yes.
I don't believe in. Well, that's controversial. So I mean, there's too much going on in the universe for aliens to not exist. I mean,
yeah,
I get it. You know, God built the world, the universe.
I get it.
I get it, dang, dude.
I get it, God. Sure.
You wild, fam.
All right, man.
This is the episode where Steven wilds out now.
I don't want to get too into it. You know, it's a lot of controversy. With that. So I look super high right now. I'm just really
you look like a extra on Prison Break right now.
Dude. You're just an extra person in prison.
So aliens exist, and so that's my take.
All right.
Oh man. Yeah, I agree. I would, if I had to put my money on it, I would say aliens do exist. For the same exact reason. I feel the universe is just way too humongous for there not to be. And there's like I forgot what the exact number, but it was like anywhere between 9 and 16 different types of planets that are very similar to Earth in the atmosphere and everything, and different galaxies and stuff like that. And so it's just, I don't know, it's universe is just way too big, I feel.
Interesting thing that I did yesterday is I guess NASA, you can go to the NASA website and put your name in, and then they're going to take your name to Mars in a rover. I don't know how that's going to, maybe it's in the computer that the rover has or something.
Maybe, yeah.
I got 2 tickets to paradise. to go to Mars. So I think the rover is being launched in July of 2020. So
do you think the rover's going to show up on time?
I don't know. Does Lex show up on time? I think Lex has a pretty long streak right now, right?
Yeah, according to a fourth mic question from our friend Daniel, who we thought was going to be on this episode, but decided to go to the gym.
Wait, is that why he's not on here?
Yeah, basically.
I didn't.
So
you didn't say anything.
he wants us to discuss Lex's lifelong streak on never being on time for anything. So Lex, defend yourself.
I mean, I don't know. I I have a really bad habit of getting on those YouTube black holes where I'm just like I type in one video, whether it's like UFC or just like anything, and I just keep clicking like on the related videos after that, and then I just get lost. Because I actually had a Korean barbecue yesterday with Daniel, and I'm ashamed to say the reason I was late is because I just stayed chilling in bed, just like watching videos, and and he hadn't he implied that he was basically on his way right away, right? So I was like, oh, you know what? I should get out of bed and like change. So then I changed. I was like, all right, I'm away. And he was like, dog. He's like, I'm already here. And he's like, dude. He's all like, I swear you have your own time zone. I'm just like, man. And
I gotta admit, Lex used to be pretty bad, but I think he's gotten a little better as he's gotten older. And I'm a dad about things. I feel like I know I'm not as good of a dad as Steven is, but I'm pretty big on being on time for things. Like that's why we showed up to the Royal Rumble 4 hours early. but when I'm about to do something with Lex, I actually give him like that hour of space and say like, if I expect Lex to be here at 1, I'll tell him I want him here at 12. So if he shows up at 12:30, I'm less upset.
And there was like a good streak though, where like back in the days where like we would pick each other up when we lived closer. Like there's like a good long streak where like you would say here, and then as you're rounding the corner, I'm like already there with like my phone in hand and my backpack and everything. Like,
right.
You could tell I've been standing out there for like 20 minutes.
Right. Because there's sometimes I'm outside Lex's house for 20 minutes. After
that's true too. Yeah, that's true
too.
So
there's a weird.
It's not a good neighborhood either.
But I know Steven sometimes doesn't show up on time either. And
I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty of the same thing sometimes.
And he usually
you know what?
Because he's wiping his ass or something.
Lately,
I've been thinking.
Lately, I think I've been a lot better with that than I have in the past.
It's because you're a dad.
And it's the dad thing. I think it's the dad thing.
Yeah. Steven's the daddest man on the planet.
So
that's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm ready to rock out the dad swag.
You're gonna have your son right here for the podcast, just like on your shoulder.
I got my fresh New Balance waiting to be.
Do you have some Oakleys?
So actually, you know what? I'm looking to go and buy some Oakleys. and I'll tell you this: the only reason is because they look good on Patrick Mahomes, and the NFL's promoting them, and they just look good, and I just want a pair. So
nice.
One of the widest things I've ever seen in my life is that there's an Oakley store in Angel Stadium.
Yeah, that is pretty.
And I was like, that might be one of the widest things I've ever seen in my life.
Oakley's pretty cool though, guys. Come on.
I think all Steven needs now is like the hip detachable like phone clip charger, or not charger, but like the holster, and then attach it to the hip, and he's gonna be set.
I'm like an offensive coordinator, and I have the whole thing next to me.
You have like the Bluetooth thing.
You're looking at a blank iPad with a really crappy plastic cover on it.
You guys are just gonna see me like this.
Oh man.
Well, Lex, hopefully soon you'll kick the habit.
That was a great transition. Our transitions are spot on today, right?
That was pretty good. Oh man. Yeah. But all right, what's next?
So we're trying to keep to a structure now, and now our transitions are terrible.
Actually, we're doing like way worse now.
So I think Brian was going to tell us about when he's hungry.
Oh, when I'm hungry, I go to Ike Sandwiches. Sandwiches. That will change your outlook on life because they're that good. 500 amazing options, vegetarian, meat, vegan, gluten-free. We got you. www.loveandsandwiches.com. They have several locations. They have some in Arizona, Las Vegas, up in the Bay, down in Southern California, even in San Diego. They even have one open late in the Gas Lamp if you're ever down there drinking.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Sandwiches.
I was this close to saying what Brian said in the pre-show, and I'm so happy that I didn't.
Yeah. God, yeah.
Maybe we'll throw it in somewhere later, but like we'll sneak it in.
For sure.
I think Brian said and I hope he didn't. But
In this episode?
in this episode, yeah,
Did I?
I thought you said because you were talking about our transitions, and I think you slipped it in. So when
Dang, we
edit
might have
it,
to.
Oh no.
we're gonna have to put it to.
Gonna be the first edited episode.
So that's awesome. What's the? I think there's another fourth mic question from Daniel, right?
Oh yeah, he wanted to know when's the next time he could see me. And
It's like, were you trying to do that off camera? Or?
I was like,
no, Jesse's on Fortnite right now, and we're still only like 10 minutes into the episode. So
Seriously, 11.
He's gonna chill in the lobby of a Batman with his no skin.
he's like, doo doo.
Jesse. Number one, Jesse has like the most secure job out of all of us.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Makes the most money. Still hasn't graduated college, right? So he doesn't have a degree.
And he basically lives for free for the first few months of this job.
Because they pay for his living. And he can't afford to buy a new skin.
On Fortnite.
On Fortnite, yeah.
Not only that, is he stopped hanging out with. So I know it was late, but he stopped hanging out with us on Fortnite one night because he was gonna go to a career fair when he's already got a job that makes him a lot more than all of us combined. So he's just greedy. He's just a greedy guy.
Yeah.
Money's not good. He's the guy. He's the football player that makes millions of dollars and he's holding out. Yeah. He's the same guy.
He's Melvin Gordon.
Dang, name dropping. Unlike Aguilar.
You saw that? Speaking of Daniel, though, he wanted his fourth mic question was when's the next time you can see me? And I thought it was going to be tonight on the podcast because I thought we were going to have him on the podcast. But he thought he should be clanging and banging instead of hanging out with Brian.
Clanging and banging, yeah.
Which I guess I should start clanging and banging. I'm chubby.
What do chubby guys like for gifts?
Dude, we're high, fam. All three of us.
I'm wearing shorts today, by the way.
Oh, thank God, because we had like,
how stretchy are those shorts?
he officially can't have kids anymore because of how high he raised that. Like, oh man, that was
Does Vital Pomona have shorts?
They might.
I know they have soap.
They do have soap, and they have like beard stuff too. Vital Pomona. We believe everyone has a gift. Some just need help finding it. You can catch them online, www.vitalpomona.com or at Vital Pomona on IG. And not only that, but Vital Pomona is officially having their grand opening on Saturday, October 12th. The ribbon cutting is at 5 p.m., 266 West 2nd Street, Pomona, California. So they're like right in the middle of downtown Pomona, so which is like awesome. And I think their grand opening is actually on a second Saturday art walk, right? Yep, second Saturday. So that's gonna be pretty dope.
Did you half-ass check a calendar right now?
I mean, there's no way I could like realistically check the calendar with just pressing like my home button on my iPhone and then looking back up. So
you're just like, yeah. Pushes the start button on your PS4. Yeah, it looks like it's the second week of October.
I just like put my other headphones on. I'm like, yeah, it looks like that's the date, guys.
You're on right now looking at Jesse in the lobby by himself.
I just we could like show Jesse. But yeah, I think Vital Pomona is gonna be the new homework spot, fam. They have like 4 tables and like 8 chairs, and
because nobody does homework or what? Like,
yeah, I know, right? Yeah, dang, I'm acting like it's not gonna be packed. I gotta get there early.
I'm gonna check real quick if we have a last minute fourth mic question before we get into the main event question.
All right, let's do it.
So, do you think the fourth mic likes sending us stuff?
I think they do.
I like how we ask for questions and then they end up just liking the picture.
Are we just talking crap about the people who listen?
I know, right? Yeah.
The 23 people, and then the 17 that accidentally clicked on it.
23andMe.
Sorry, I'm using my iPhone like I'm Steven's age.
And Steve was like the youngest person out of all three of us.
All right, let's see here.
He's older.
Nothing there. We should just have like a one location where we put all these. Look, no, we're good.
I have a question. I want to know.
Yeah.
So, because you said 23andMe and it brought back, you know how you like hear a word or you see something or you smell something and it brings back like a memory
Yeah.
of like a situation that you were in.
Mm-hmm.
So you said 23andMe and I thought of that kickback at Jesse's house where the AT&T customer service guys were playing beer pong against us.
Yeah.
And so like so Lex and I were on a team and we were doing pretty good. Yeah. We were on a streak. We were making, cup after cup. And so I shoot it and it goes nothing but net. And this guy puts his fucking finger in, basically his whole claw, right? His whole fucking lobster claw in there. And he flips it out, right? But it you can hear it just hit the water.
Like the water splashes out.
No, like it was wet. It was like one of those like so it goes in, you hear it hit the water, right? Like it just died on impact. And then this guy puts his finger in, flips it out. All this water comes out. And so he said, oh, like I fingered it out, right?
Yeah.
My question is, like, guys don't, they don't, no, he blew it out, remember? He didn't finger it.
Oh, yeah, he was like,
you just spent like 2 minutes describing something that never happened.
No, I swear this happened. There's a bunch of people there.
You're right, because we kept.
No, he blew it. Remember, because we got mad. We were kind of drunk, so give me a second to remember the situation. We need time, anyways, right? We need content. So the guy like huffs and puffs like like the big bad wolf, and like half the water comes out. The water came out, so it dies. Right, a second passes, and then he went back to blow, and he said, blew. The ball obviously came out with a bunch of water.
His face was all wet.
Right, and we told him like, hey, dude, like guys don't blow. And then he got really mad, and he said, yeah, like guys can blow. And I was like, I don't know what guys you're hanging out with, but
gender norms, man. Come on, man. It's 2019.
We were playing 2019 beer pong, I think. Yeah.
It's funny. Well, I have a rule in life, right? Or it's like especially when it's competition stuff, because I just don't like to deal with the BS. Right. When I'm playing beer pong, I never finger or blow, because I always feel like that's just controversial arguments that never get anywhere. If they make the cup, they make the cup. Just
if it's in, it's in. Yep.
And then also when I'm playing street basketball, I never call fouls.
That's tight. I like how you took it to a place where by the way, like one of my favorite Brian stories to tell is when we were in high school, and I think there's like a hot new mixtape or album coming out, right? Like Nas, G-Unit, something, right? It was in high school, and I was at Brian's house in Chino, and I was like, yeah, Brian, this new mixtape came out, but I don't know where to find it. And then just picture like Brian, like a 16, 17-year-old, like nice white gentleman. He's just like, oh, hold on, let me check. And I just see him like on his Apple Mac desktop start typing in www.datpiff.com. And I was like, that's like my favorite image ever of us in high school is like, man, like back then Brian was like hella gangsta. Like you had the what was like your dress attire?
Segue?
I used to, I was gonna say it's a good segue. But I used to wear G-Unit jeans and like polo shirts, tall tees. I had a big Dazzle, Biggie small shirt.
Brian wore an NBA jersey every day of the week.
A different one.
And it was never the same. And it just seemed like every week he'd come with a brand new jersey. He had throwbacks, classics. He had the weird colorways. Like it was just he had players that
I had shoes to match him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Brian was wild.
He was very urban.
Yeah, which I think brings us to the last fourth mic question, right? This is kind of.
So, well, it doesn't matter because like that you like to shake the ice right into the mic. So, last question is, how did we all become friends, and what are our origins? And I'm assuming the origin is our friendship transitioning into the podcast. So, I guess we should start it with me and Steven first.
Yes.
Actually, it goes back way before that.
Oh, we could start with
elementary school.
me
All
and
right.
Steven.
Lex and I went to elementary school together. I mean, I wouldn't say that we were friends, but I'm sure that there were things that like
we've met. And you want to know like my earliest memory of you, Steven? I've told you once, and you never remember this, and it's so hilarious. Like thinking back, like looking back at it now. Like so, basically,
bad.
it's oh man, it's probably controversial. I'm just kidding. But oh yeah, so we probably met.
It's
like
me beating you today in fantasy football.
Yeah, that was bad in the 90s. But we probably met like in like first, second, or third grade, like as early as like those grades. And like so we've like known each other. We've been classmates, and like we've known the other person, right? We've known each other since elementary school. But for some reason, my earliest and like only memory of Steven in elementary school, we were like super little kids. And I think we were playing like dodgeball during like lunch or recess or something like that. And I remember out of nowhere, totally uncalled for, I'm just minding my own business. And Steven just walks up to me and he's like, hey, remember when you got hit in the nuts really hard by a dodgeball and started crying really hard? I'm like, dude, what the hell, bro? And that has been like my memory of Steven all throughout high school and even into like after high school until we finally became like super close.
That's still how the friendship is, though.
And that's exactly still how the friendship is. Yeah, like it's like Steven's personality to a T, and it's so yeah, that's kind of like my first impression, which is hilarious. But.
So there's an ongoing joke that I have because I said it one time. So we're playing we're in a Quentin Tarantino this origin story.
Yeah.
So we're playing FIFA at Lex's house, and these games, and we do a little tournament with Lex's brother, and these games get very competitive.
Shouts out to Eric.
And there was this one time I'm losing to Steven, and I just turn to him and go, we haven't been friends since Magnolia. And so now getting to the story is me and Steven met at Magnolia Junior High School. And I don't know how we met.
We met in science class, Miss Beyond's class.
Is that where we met? I thought we were friends before then.
No, dude, that's where we met in, I think it was 7th grade.
7th grade. So we were in Miss Beyond's class. And me and Steven basically became this tag team bullies, I guess.
Unfortunately, yes, we did crack too many jokes that we shouldn't have. Maybe we went over the line a couple times.
and then we would hang out every summer. We'd play basketball throughout the summer. We would walk to the NAC and Chino, and we walked probably roughly a mile or two every day just to play basketball, because we would leave the NAC to go even a street further up to play at the park.
We would leave to the NAC around like 12. We'd play all day at the NAC till it closed. The NAC is the local gym, by the way. So we'd play until it closed like at 4, and then we'd walk back to my house. We'd play a little bit there, and then sometimes, if the other kids around the block wanted to play, we'd go across the street to Magnolia and we'd play them.
Which is one of my other favorite stories. We're not going to get into detail about my part of it because it's not appropriate. But remember when you touched some guy's bike?
So we used to have these intense 2-on-2 games, right, with these cousins down the street, and they went to the same school as us, so we like all knew each other. And so like we're playing 2-on-2, and it's a pretty intense game. Again, Brian wasn't the nicest smack talker. So, he's getting them riled up, and it's a good game. This is like one of those like nobody was there games, just us four. So you had to be there to know it. But anyways, the guy would always ride his bike. And so, his bike was on the kickstand a little bit away from the court, and he got a new bike. He brought a new bike that day. And so like it was a pretty cool bike. And so like I was like, oh man, like this is a cool bike. Like, is this new? And I went over there to check it out, right? And so like I grabbed the handlebars to kind of like just check it out, I'm not gonna ride away with it or anything. I live right across the street from the school, so like I don't need a bike to go right home, So, anyways, he like kind of like angry, like looks at me and says, "Hey, bro, don't touch my bike." And I'm like, I thought he was joking, because again, we all joke around, right? But so I thought he was joking, so I didn't really pay any attention to it, and so I started like looking at it, like still touching it, and he's like, "Hey, bro," I said, "You don't touch my bike, right?" And then so like this is where I'm like kind of like, "Oh shit, is he for real?" And I look at Brian like, "Is he for real? Like, is he joking or?" And then he tells me like, "You touch my bike again, we're not friends." And so like me being the little dickhead that I was, right? I fucking touch his bike on purpose, right? Excuse my French. We're gonna lose our sponsors. So I touch his bike on purpose just because I thought he was joking around or whatever, right? It just seemed too weird to be true. And so after I touched his bike, he like I put it back. He comes over, he gets his bike, and then they leave. And I never talked to him again ever. That was the last game that we ever played against them. And so
The only interaction I had with one of them was when we were in 9th grade,
just calling
and
him names, sir.
and we were in PE, and we were about to go to the tennis courts by the football field, and him and a couple cholo guys approached me while we're in PE, and they're like, "Hey, fool!" Like, and then he said like, "I have a problem with you." And I don't remember exactly what I did. I just said like, "All right," and then I went to play tennis, and I wasn't good at it. But he was very upset that I was in the same class as him.
One of my favorite ones too, just to kind of throw it in there. Brian, for his age, was a pretty big kid, and when we played street ball, he had no, I don't want to say no control, or if he just didn't care, but he would straight fullback into people.
we called it the Buffalo.
Yeah, when he would go up for layups, and the kid that didn't like him, I don't know how many times Brian just like manhandled him and knocked him like 5 feet back, knocked him down on the blacktop. Like Brian was a bully on the court, and I think that's one of the reasons why that kid didn't like him. There's other reasons too, but
yeah, but we should probably refrain from those specifications.
So transitioning now into
speaking of bullies, me and Brian. So Brian and I've known of Brian like I'm sure we've seen each other around like at Magnolia maybe, but we've never really been in the same classes or like talked at all until like high school. So sophomore year.
And then keep in mind, me and Steven, for whatever reason, transitionally are talking a little less at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And
we didn't get as many classes together.
Right.
So we weren't really like hanging out. Like 9th grade, we had I think one class together.
Mm-hmm.
We still like hung out at lunch and stuff. And then
right,
like,
we hung out.
Grade, 10th grade. When we went to 10th grade, we didn't really have that many. And I think.
And 10th grade is when I met Mike. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
And me, Mike, and Lex became friends. But how we met
so
Lex.
So Lex is getting into the 10. Yeah. The 10.
Yeah. So Lex. This is where we meet Lex.
Yeah. So basically, I didn't know Brian really well at all beforehand until sophomore year. Like we called him Mr. Biology's class, even though it was like Mr. Garcia, but we had him for biology. But ever since then, we just call him Mr. Biology. But I did know Brian in that class from across the classroom as like, oh, this is the dude who freaking like bullies everyone. He just like roasts everyone he sits around. And he just like cracks jokes, right? And he just like destroys people, right? Verbally, I'm just like, oh man, And one day,
the Neanderthal story.
Oh, dude.
This made the teacher laugh.
Yeah. My favorite was like, we had like a student. He's cool dude, but like I don't know if he really knew the question he was asking at the time because we were watching like a documentary on Neanderthals. And so obviously it was like recreations of Neanderthals, right? Just like give us a history lesson about them. And I guess like the kid was like, he raised his hand and was like, oh, like, is this like real footage of Neanderthals? And then Brian's bully ass was like, oh yeah, they had freaking cameras back then in Neanderthal days. Like following him around. I was like, oh man. And this is when I knew this kid is up to no good. And so Brian, as you could imagine, had to always get his chair switched to other parts of the classroom. So he got separated from one of his like friends / neighbors one day because he was just like riling up. And So Brian ended up getting seated right next to me, right? I'm like, oh man, here we go. He's gonna like start roasting me. 10, 10. But no, yeah, he's gonna start roasting me. And I'm like, oh man, this is it, right? Like he's gonna roast me in front of the class. And just out of nowhere, I forgot what I was doing. Like I guess like one class day I was like fidgety or whatever, like kind of like banging on the thing or like, you know, doing like little DJ scratches with like my piece of paper. And Brian just leans over to me. He's like, hey, you DJ? And I was just or something like that. And I was like, oh, like a little bit. Like I'm not a DJ. I don't know why I said that, right?
That was his
I just didn't want to get roasted by Brian, right? Because like I knew this guy was a real deal when it comes to roasts. And I was like, but mainly I rap, you know what I mean? Like I make like raps and stuff. He's like, Brian's like, oh, where? He was like, oh, me too. Like I rap with my buddy Mike. I'm like, oh, I think I know who that guy is. Like I know of him. And and ever since then we kind of clicked on like the writing raps.
Hey, this is not appropriate, but I'm gonna go there. We did not bond because of hip hop.
Okay, I was gonna say
that was our first conversation, right? Yeah.
That's not what you told me.
Exactly.
No, that is our first conversation.
Yeah,
No,
and then how did I'll let Brian take this one. Yeah, I'll let Brian take this one.
So I was very immature.
Easy now.
And there was somebody who was slightly cross-eyed sitting behind Lex.
Careful.
Right? and but the thing is, I knew this guy for a while, and I was also teen A class with this guy. So like, I had this guy in probably 3 or 4 of my classes, and he just knew that I gave him a rough time, and he accepted it.
Yeah, and here's the thing though, because like every time we tell this story, everyone we've ever told this story to is like, "Oh, come on, guys," you know, like. But I'm like, bro, he was a dick, dude. Like he was like the biggest dick ever.
I was a dick to him, and he was a dick back to me.
Exactly. Yeah. So we gotta.
But he was
equality.
cross-eyed, and then the buzzword is cross-eyed, and that's what makes the story funnier. It was just that me and Lex bonded over making fun of a cross-eyed guy.
No, okay.
There was one time that I pretended I was writing notes about him. And then he grabs my paper, makes a scene in front of the whole class, crumples it up, throws it away, and I'm like, hey, that was my notes.
Yeah, because like we were gonna get credit for those. It was like notes on a movie we were watching in class. That was hilarious.
So basically, Lex comes over. We start recording music. Our first interaction is weird because he comes over, record a song. I'm just trying to watch SportsCenter. He wants to leave, but he doesn't leave. And I want him to leave, and he doesn't leave.
Yeah.
Our friendship gets stronger. I almost got hit by a car trying to pick up a Slim Jim on our first hangout.
In the parking lot, yeah.
Walmart. And transitioning now into how all 3 of us started hanging out because we're running out of time.
So fast forward to the punch in the eye, or?
What?
I was talking